One Friday evening, my father and I stopped by my grandparents' house. My grandmother was out babysitting, which left my grandfather to his own devices for dinner. I don't remember what else was on the plate, but specifically, I remember clearly 2 hot dogs in buns. And my grandfather was eating, and my father and I just sat at the kitchen table. My father said nothing. Watched my grandfather eat. And when my grandfather got to the last bite of the second hot dog, my father looked at him and said, "Dad, do hot dogs taste better on Friday than on any other day of the week?" The old man turned as white as that sheet that had come down from heaven in front of Peter. And I have no question that by 8 o'clock the next morning, he was at St. Mary's Church in Glenshaw, Pennsylvania, making confession for the 2 hot dogs that had nearly endangered his eternal soul. When you hear that story of Cornelius, you're immediately taken to the sheet and all of those things on it, and Peter being told to eat that which he had not been permitted to eat before. And you might be tempted to think that this is a story about dietary regulation and the Levitical practice of kosher, but it's not. It's about, of all things, God opening the kingdom to everyone. What is God up to? God is up to opening all of the world to God's love and the possibility of us loving one another and living as one people. It is a story that's not about whether or not you can have shrimp and snails and baby back ribs. It's a story about the limitless, infinite love of God that reaches out to all of us and welcomes us in. You see, for many decades and centuries and millennia, those of us in the church have been trying to build a fence around things like this table, saying who can come and who cannot, who can be a part and who cannot, who can God love and who can God not love. Only to discover that that's been a complete waste of time, energy, and no small amount of money. God's love is for all people. And Peter has that wonderful line in the story, "I am beginning to understand that God shows no partiality for one group over another." The uncomfortable thing about our God is that our God loves everyone, not just the people we love, and not just the people who look like us, and not just the people who worship like us, and not just the people who eat like us. God loves everyone. There is no fence around this table. When I was a kid, we had a little cartoon character we created. His name was Whosoever Will. Some of you hung around in the same Sunday school classes, I see. Whosoever will was always invited, always welcomed, always considered one of the family. Not because we said so, but because God had issued the invitation. The invitation is still being offered. That's what God's up to. You are welcome at this table, in the household of God, in the world around you. You are welcome. And your job and mine is to help others understand that they are welcome too. God's love is for all and shows no impartiality. Thanks be to God, for now and evermore. Amen.